Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another segment with the South Texas Literacy Coalition. Today, we're going to be doing something that I am very excited about and something that I've been wanting to do for a while. We're having our second episode of our Coffee Talk edition with one of my good friends, Misael Ramirez from Craft Cultura.
What's up, Val? How you?
So, what's up? So today I'm very excited. For those of you who don't know, this segment that we do is a bit of a partnership between the South Texas Literacy Coalition and a new arising nonprofit called Craft Cultura, which Misael is a founder and creator of. And basically, this segment that we do is called Coffee Talks. So basically, we don't talk about coffee, but basically we sit together. Our first episode before the pandemic, we were able to sit together in my office and have a little platica. Today I'm in the office, he is at home, and we just grab a cup of coffee and talk about any relevant topics that we feel are beneficial for our community to hear. So today we're going to be talking about books building community. As a literacy nonprofit, for us, literacy and books are for us the key to education and the key to a better lifestyle, in not just in the RGV but anywhere all over the world. So today we're going to be talking about what introduction to books, as to what are books, what are the benefits behind books, the mental health aspect, the accessibility of books for kids and adults in our communities, how they affect us and how they can have a positive impact in our lives, basically. So let's go ahead and get started. So, Misael, to you, what are books to you?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you, Valeria, for having me on again. I want to thank everybody at South Texas Literacy Coalition for the work y'all do, all the behind the scenes work, and I just want to thank y'all for having me. And just a little bit of a background of who Craft Cultura is for those that are new to us. We're a Chicanx Latinx community-based organization, and we're located here in the Rio Grande Valley. And CRAFT is actually an acronym that stands for Creating Real Art for Tomorrow. And what we are, we're a collective of South Texas writers, creatives that produce stories of empowerment. So we do believe that our stories are important, our narratives are important, and we do believe that it's good to have these narratives told by us, especially here in South Texas, where we need a little bit more representation. So we host these free events that are free to the community, culturally relevant as well. To our borderlands residents, and we center social justice and create these safe spaces for our communities of color to have their voices heard, valued, and celebrated. And like I said, our team consists of a diverse range of different backgrounds in education, counseling, graphic design, health and wellness, you name it. So we invite you to, check us out on social media, our website, come to one of our online events right now, and join our organization if you're interested. So just a little background for those that are new to craft. But what are books to me? Going back to your question, books, they mean a lot. I think the relationship with books has changed as the years have progressed. It used to be something that I just did for like homework or assignments. It wasn't necessarily something I did for fun. And after college, it was something that I could read what I wanted now. I could read for leisure. So books to me, they mean a lot because there's different lessons, different stories in each book. They've really been helping me get through this quarantine, the pandemic as well. And yeah, I think it's a healthy outlet to have and to continue to grow. I think it is like a dying form as well, that, in our generation, you can get everything on Google, or you want that information really quick. So there's a different process when it comes to reading a book, taking your time with it, disconnecting from, let's say, social media or technology. And but books, I think it's just it's an evolving relationship that I have with books, and with each book is its own different I guess you could say, experience, depending on the theme, when it was written. And I'm a bookworm, I'm a book nerd. So I dive in. I want to know who the author was, what they were reading, again, what time the book was written in, what's the context behind it. And yeah, I just like to, I like to read a lot of books at once at the same time. And yeah, books mean a lot, especially during this pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you. Funny thing is, I used to not be, a bookworm. I wouldn't read for fun. I wouldn't read for pleasure. Usually any literature that I had in front of me or that you would catch me reading was either a homework assignment, like an article that I had to do for a research paper for school, or a textbook or a lesson or something having to do with. It was more work to me than it was reading for pleasure, and for the majority of my life, I didn't really read for pleasure, and it wasn't until I know, ironically, I work for Literacy Coalition. So it wasn't really until I have been volunteering with the Literacy Coalition ever since I was a freshman in high school, but came on board officially as a staff member a little bit over a year ago. And it wasn't until I started working behind the scenes with the coalition and seeing, what an impact books, something as simple as a book has on our community and on a child in our community. So it was seeing the way the faces in these little kids light up when they would come to our table and they would see all the books and ask, "Can I take one?" "Yeah, sure, go for it, mijo. Take it." "Okay, when do I have to return it?" "No, mijo, it's for you. You can keep it." And just the light in their eyes and the smile that would come across their face when they were told that they could choose a brand new free book that they can choose from the big variety that we had, and they can take home and keep it with them and keep it in their room and have it by their bed and be able to read it. It's something that impacted me a lot, and it's something that got me motivated into looking into reading for pleasure myself. So now I'm not an avid reader, but I do read a lot more than I used to before for pleasure. So and it's honestly, I agree with you. It's been something that has changed the way that I think, the way that I see things, the way that I process thoughts, I process ideas, especially working with literature and literacy and books 24/7 at work. Um, Anywhere I turn in my office, I see stacks of books everywhere. So it's something that I can't really avoid. So I've learned to love them, and I've found that I actually really like reading now. So that's something that's pretty cool to me. But I guess something else that I want to get into is for you, what do you see as the benefits of reading um, on a regular basis or reading for pleasure?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's many benefits to just reading, but I think for me personally, it just helps me unwind. It kind of helps me also, just de-stress. Like I said, disconnect. I know a lot of us have the habit as soon as we wake up is reaching over for that phone and scrolling. And whether we like it or not, we're processing all of that
Mhm.
information, good and bad. So I try to be intentional now and give myself at least 30 minutes a day to, pick out something to read, something that I like I said. And usually I put about 2 books in my backpack. I'll go for my jog, my run. And after that, after I got the endorphins going, part of that, not only physical health, but I feel like reading is the equivalent to, going to the gym for your body. Reading is that for your mind. So it's really helped, answer certain questions that I have, or you don't have to necessarily agree with everything you're reading either, but
Mhm.
you can. It's also, I think for me, really cool to read something and share it through my social media with, through craft or with my friends, and It's really cool to engage them as well in whatever I'm reading and share with my friends. And I think, like you said, I think when kids get that book, that their face lights up. And I think we don't lose that either as adults. I think when I give a, a friend of mine a book, their face also lights up. It doesn't dim. I think that's always something that people love receiving gifts, right? So what better gift than the gift of a book, the gift of knowledge, the gift of sharing something that you can also have a conversation with this person about. So you guys gifted us with a couple book bundles for kids, and it's been great to gift those to certain friends of mine that have children of their own, and then them tell me that their kids' faces lit up. In this culture of like video games and tablets, there's nothing like receiving a hardcover copy of a beautifully printed book. So, like I said, it's just been something that it helped with. I think it just helps slow me down
Hmm.
in this fast-paced life.
Yeah.
Slow down. It helps. You know, I'm just like anybody else. When I don't know a word, I look it up. I stop what I'm reading and I look it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then I keep going. So I take notes when I'm reading. Like I said, I love to share through my social media. That way, I can engage other people. And yeah, it's been a really a cool thing to do on a daily basis as well. I don't necessarily consider myself like an avid reader, or maybe I am. I don't know, but I definitely try to read daily. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I feel that, somebody was commenting right now that, reading is a stress reliever, and I can totally agree with that. And I can totally see that happening, especially right now. Media can be a very, very dark place, not only now, but, anytime. Media can be something that can affect you in a very positive way or even in a very negative way, sadly. So there's nothing like picking up a book and just zoning out, forgetting everything that's happening, putting your phone on, just put your phone on silent, or lock yourself in a room, or sit outside with a cup of coffee, enjoying the view, enjoying
yeah,
right now not the fresh air because it's really really hot because it's summer in the valley, but sitting outside, being able to see the birds, being able to see nature, and just diving into a completely different world than the reality that you're living in. And I feel like that's something that's very very humbling that you can do to kind of reground you and be able to bring you back to
yeah, and I think it's a tradition in our cultura. It's something that we have. I don't know about you, but I remember growing up. My parents or grandparents, the elders, they would always wake up early, make their cafecito, and read the newspaper.
yeah.
They're trying to get information, but there's a lot in there. And again, we have social media, so you can just scroll, but they would actually read a paper. And I thought that was really cool because they'd do it outside. They'd find their location, and it would kind of set the tone for their day.
Yeah,
So
definitely. So
it's
going into
yeah, it's definitely something that I think we need to bring back, in
yeah,
our age range, our generation.
you were mentioning that sometimes you're reading several books at a time, correct? You're not only usually reading one. I can completely relate to that. So my question is, what are you reading right now? What are you reading right now during the pandemic?
Oh my goodness, what am I reading? All right, let me show y'all some. I'm reading.
I got mine too.
I just started Breathe, a letter to my sons. It's by Imani Perry. She's a professor of African American studies at Princeton University, and just a very prolific writer. If you're interested in current issues and you know, that's a great book that I just started reading right now. I just bought this one, haven't even started it, but it's called Begin Again. It's by Professor Eddie Glaude. Also, I think he's the director of African American Studies from Princeton, and it's a book about James Baldwin. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I'm rereading a little bit of The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Gino Diaz, a Dominican American author, and just this is a little bit of a funner book, lighter book, very modern. It's super funny as well. And I'm reading also This Is Not a T-Shirt by Bobby Hundreds. And this has to do more with like, starting your own brand and just his story as an Asian American entrepreneur in California. So those are kind of some of the books that I'm reading. I have a lot more books, but right now I'm trying to settle with those right now.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree. I have so many. I get so excited when I discover a book on, and I love the fact that you mentioned that you share, your current reads on your social media for other people to see, because I've gotten a lot of inspiration and suggestion of books from you. I bought Children of the Land
Mm.
by Marcelo. So that was one of the books that, as soon as I remember, we had a meeting. I think we were having a planning meeting, and that was a book that you were currently reading at that time. And I didn't even have to read it, just the way that you explained it and you portrayed it to me got me so excited, and I went out and I bought it. But I had already started reading. I'm reading 3 books, technically 4, because yesterday I won y'all's raffle with your discussion with Dieter. So you gave me the autobiography of Malcolm, and the first thing I did as soon as I sat down in my office after I got it is I started reading it. So I got a bit into it. So I accidentally started a new book, which I didn't intend to, but I just got so excited because it's a new book that I got. So I unintentionally started that one, and I've been reading kind of on and I'm about halfway done. This book is called The Subtle Art by Mark Manson. This is actually a book that, it's funny the way I got it. This book, as you can see, there's writing on it. And the book says, read and leave. Read this book and leave it somewhere so another person gets to share within this book, by J. De Luna. So this is a book that I found at Grind Coffee Co. A while back, in a small little nook that they have in the backs of their shop, and I saw it, and the title like popped out to me, and somebody else had recommended it to me, and I was like, okay, let me pick it up and let me read it. So I'm about almost a little bit over halfway done. So this is a book that I go to a lot. I'm pretty sure everybody has kind of been going through a process of like rebranding themselves, and kind of realizing who they are and trying to rediscover themselves, or kind of to try to reevaluate themselves in the way. And this is a very, very good book to do that. So this is a book that I have been reading on and off, which is a book that I gravitate towards to when I'm feeling stuck, or I'm feeling helpless in a way, and I'm just in a funk that I'm trying to get out of. So this is the book that I reach to for that. This book has to be my favorite. It's called Borderlands La Frontera by Gloria Anzaldúa. She is a local author. She was born in Brownsville, Harlingen area, and lived in Hargill, Texas. She actually attended Edinburgh High School and graduated from Edinburgh High School, which is high school that I graduated from, and she did her undergrad degree at UTPA, now known as UTRGV, which is where you and me graduated from, Misael. And then she went up to Santa Cruz, California, and got her doctorate degree and started writing poetry and a bunch of awesome books as well. So this is a book that I first learned from both Misael and my friend Marco. We were having a conversation, and Marco mentioned to us that he goes to Amherst University up in Massachusetts. And he was mentioning to us that he was in a half-price bookstore, just browsing around, trying to look for a new read that could catch his eye. And he was attracted to the name of the book, Borderlands La Frontera. Marco went to Edinburgh High School with me as well. He was a classmate of mine when I was in high school. And because we live he's from the Borderlands and we grew up in the Borderlands, he was attracted to the title. He picked it up, he read the cover, which tells you about Gloria Anzaldúa, and he was just amazed of, oh my god, I had to leave my city and go to a university in a different state to find a book about the valley written by somebody from the valley. So it was something that changed his life completely, and he recommended it to me, and I absolutely love it. She is a Latin Chicana author that talks about many struggles, trials, and tribulations that she went through growing up as a female in the RGV and dealing with a bunch of norms and breaking a bunch of taboos back then in earlier years here in the Valley. And growing up as a Latina, which is something that I can relate to and a lot of people can relate to. So whenever I want to feel empowered and feel like a boss woman, this is the one that I reach for. So these two are a little bit more books that I reach to when, when I want to get some sort of knowledge or inspiration out of them. And the other book that I'm reading, this has no inspiration at all. It's called Valkyrie. This is a nonfiction book by Kate O'Hearn. I'm really into Greek mythology and stuff like that. I've The only series that I've read cover to cover has been Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief. That's the only series that I have read cover to cover because it's the only series that I really, really like Greek mythology. I'm a nerd about that. So, so this is a book that I actually found here at the South Texas Literacy Coalition. This is a book that we got from one of our grants that we had in our inventory. And I love the cover. I love the name of it. And I picked it up, and it's a nonfiction book that talks about, things about, demigods and stuff like that, and mortals and immortal worlds and stuff like that. So this is my fun book that I grab whenever I just, I want to laugh, or it's a bit of a romantic type book. It's a romantic and adventure book. So this is a book that this is my novella book right here. This is the one that I go to for entertainment. So
nothing wrong with the novella. Nothing wrong with the
nothing
novella.
wrong with the novella. Nothing wrong at all. I'm trying to get my grandparents are the type of like, oh ya son las 6, ya va a empezar mi novela, and they go lock themselves in their room. I'm trying to get them to read a physical novella. I'm trying to make them read a novel. So I've been, if anybody has any suggestions of any good novellas that some elders can be interested in that's Latin and that is in Spanish, I would really appreciate it, because I'm trying to get my grandparents out of watching novellas every single day. I'm trying to get them to read more. But yeah, those are my books, and I'm also the type of person that writes and journals whenever I'm reading. I usually always have, whenever I read, I grab my book and I grab a journal where, I write about if something in the book that I'm reading catches my attention, or I can relate to, or that I can identify myself with currently at that moment, that portrays what I'm feeling and what I've been going through. I journal it in, write what the book is saying, and then just write my version of what I'm feeling and how it ties into my life. And it's actually really good. Journal therapy is a thing, and it's something that's really, really good, and something that I recommend if you guys could. You don't even need. This is a little fancy journal that I got for a birthday a few years ago from my parents. But if you just grab a composition notebook or grab a notepad, just put your thoughts and put your words on paper. It helps. It helps you get your thoughts out of your head. So a question that I got a lot from people was, how do they start reading? What is the first step to becoming not an avid reader, but to become a reader in general? What is some tips that you can give to people who are looking into wanting to start reading more?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the wrong person to ask that, because I know some readers that run through books once a week. But in my own journey to become a reader, like I said, I think just being intentional with your time, and I think we have a lot more time nowadays. So just be intentional. Just set aside 10 to 15 minutes. Start there. It's like I said, like going to the gym. The hardest part is showing up.
Yeah.
So But once you start to go, you start to create that muscle memory. You start to and do it your way. Do it in a way that you don't necessarily have to go to a library or a bookstore, or you can, but like you mentioned, you can go outside, you can go to the park, you can set the environment to where it suits you, to where you're relaxed.
Grab a cup of
It is,
coffee.
yeah, it's a stress reliever. Grab a tea, a coffee, a Hoya, a ponche, whatever you feel.
I know John, our associate director, he loves, if it's after hours, grab a little glass of wine. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with
you know,
that. Treat yourself.
get a little wine, treat yourself.
Get a little brew. Just sit outside.
Yeah, John knows what's up. John knows what's up. So, um, yeah, do it your way. I think that's the number one advice I'd give to somebody. Just do it your way. It's not for a grade. It's just something that we do for fun. So, but you're gonna learn as well in the process if that's your intention as well. So, I am intentional when I like to read, for instance, at the UTRGV track on the bleachers. So I'll run a little bit, and then after that, I'll have my book and my water, and then as I'm kind of breathing in and out heavily, I read, and I'm intentional with it. I'm like, I'm gonna read one chapter or 5 pages today. But I go in there knowing, I'm intentional with the book that I took that day.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I feel, yeah. So those are a couple of things you can do, right? Is just be intentional with your time. Um, I'd say also try to maybe join a book club as well. We have a book club with Craft Cultura. It's called BYOB, Bring Your Own Book. And, it's trying to, as I think you encourage journaling. I think that's great. And also engaging with other readers in the Valley. So, if you're interested in joining our book club, we're meeting this Sunday, August 30th from 6 to 7. And we'll put out the flyer. And it's a Zoom meeting, for right now. But it's been great because we've had folks from Chicago pull up to our events, from Houston, and all throughout the Valley. And our book curator, Victoria, she's actually in the Dominican Republic right now. So she's, you know, creating that atmosphere from all the way from the Dominican Republic right now. So it's really cool. Join a book club. There's also the RGV True Crime Club. So
Yeah.
like crime and Halloween's coming up. I'd say that's another great book club to join. And that's ran by my good friend Mel. So if y'all are interested in that, we can send you a link to their club as well. And yeah, I just encourage people to continue to read in the couple minutes that you have during the day, and it will become easier. And read books that you want to finish also. There's a couple books that you start and you don't finish them. So
Yeah. So
you know,
leading into that, that's something that I want to ask, what makes you finish a book?
yeah, I mean, there's just certain books that I kind of got the message of what I needed. For instance, like the one that I had shared, This Is Not a T-shirt. I feel like that one I can put down. Not that it's not good, but I've read half of it already, and I'm applying the lessons, if anything, that I learned.
Mhm.
It's more of a like applying what you're learning. And then, but what makes me finish a book? It's good writing. It's like what makes me finish a good show on Netflix. It's good
Yeah.
writing, ultimately. So if the writers are good, and it doesn't feel like a drag to read, it feels like, wow, this is, I read, I'm on page 50 already, or 100, and it's gone by really, really smooth. So I just think good writers have this way of just continuing to engage you. I think that's what the best writers do. And then you start to figure out that they all have different styles, a certain voice that they use. So I think, yeah, the good writing. I think also what I do is I read a lot of contemporary authors. So there's a lot of interviews with them, or talks, pláticas with them at certain bookstores across the country. So that's cool as well, that I feel that I can participate in these conversations as an audience member almost. Um, so it's really cool to see other people from other cities talk about this book, and give their opinions, host their own discussions, and hear the author's interpretation of it as well.
Yeah, I feel like kind of talking about that, having the discussion, something that I really, really like that I want to highlight that you guys do at Book Club BYOB is that um, you guys don't, you know, come together for sometimes, common misconception for book clubs is you sit together and you read and that's it. But something that I love that you guys do I was able to attend one of your guys' book clubs in person at Grand Coffee Co. And you guys, break down the book that you guys are reading. You guys read between the lines. You guys discuss certain paragraphs or certain passages of the book that you guys are reading that have either relevant content or um, have some sort of emotion that either you or the people that are there around in the book club can identify with, and you guys open up an open discussion to where people can share their feelings, their thoughts, how they portrayed a message. So you might have read a passage and you portrayed it one way, but the person next to you read the exact same passage but portrayed it a different way. You guys are able to share, what each person took out of a specific passage out of a book, which is, and that's literature. That's literature through discussion. That's literature through opinions and thoughts and sharing ideas within, people in your community, because everybody reads differently. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody has different thought processes. And it's really cool because you're able to portray, like I said, one passage maybe 4 or 5 different ways, So I think that's something that's super, super cool because you can have the same text, but in your mind or your thought processes, you have a completely different scenario or a completely different portrayal of what you just read. So I think that's something that's super, super cool, which you guys allow, and you guys open that platform and make it available for people to, share their thoughts and share their feelings, and you have it as a nice, open, safe, creative space where people can, use their voice and can be heard and can be listened to, which is I think is something that's super, super cool that you guys do.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we try to do that. We try to give space. We don't necessarily read the same book all the time. We It's called BYOB. So there's people that are more into sci-fi. There's some folks that are into, self-help books. There's folks that are into memoirs, biographies, fiction, nonfiction. So it just depends. But because we all give each other the time to share what we're reading, um, it's like, hey, I might have not thought that I was into sci-fi, but she explained it really good, or he explained it really good, and that book does seem interesting. So it helps us to just kind of share what we're reading, hear each other out, and yeah, if we are creating that space. So one of my friends, Savannah, she talked about the difficulty. She shared with me the difficulty of after college, that classroom discussion, that socializing of a certain topic, that it's difficult to make friends too after college when that's where campus is where you socialize. So through the book club, it's also been cool to not only speak about books and literature, but also create new friendships as well through this virtual meeting, and continue the conversations even after our meetings. Um, just get to know people in your community. At the same time, the discussion today is books build community, and that's the books is more of a vehicle to get us to connect with each other, share ideas, projects, collaborate with each other. And yeah, we don't necessarily even have to agree all the time on the book. Like you said, we could all perceive it differently. um, One of the books that I was reading, my friend Savannah, she read the same book, but she's a female, so she was like, she read it from that female lens, and she pointed out some things that I didn't notice because I read it from my male lens. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, I can see that. I just kind of skipped over that part. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting that we have a diverse range of folks with different backgrounds. Also, we have some educators in our group. Um, our graphic designers, they talk about also like the cover art of a book, and how that kind of is the first thing you see when you see a book. You see the cover, and that's kind of what gets you. And you talked about Marco getting Borderlands. I feel sometimes the book chooses you. You don't even know where it is, and sometimes the best books, they actually choose us. So you're not even looking for it. But something about the title, something about that cover, speaks to us. Um, so it is definitely an art form that we're trying to, sustain, and a tradition that we're trying to sustain and engage our generation and this upcoming young generation that might feel like, now reading's not for me, or I don't need it. And but reading has showed that it improves, not only your mental health, but it improves just your whole overall quality of life, because communities with low literacy, you know just communities that have low literacy are more likely, and youth especially, they're more likely to go through the prison system as well. So that's a conversation we had last week on books and youth incarceration with Dieter Cantu. And that's something that books can literally save your life. So it's something that we're trying to not only do for fun as well, but also use as a tool, to continue to grow our community. It does seem like a book desert in the valley at times. It's not like we have a lot of local bookstores here.
Hmm.
Um, so I think, I love what y'all are doing at South Texas Literacy Coalition, and the fact that we're partnering, because we're trying to create that book culture that we want kids to grow up, and books is something that they just saw growing up. you know so we're really trying to create that culture, cultivate it, and I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, definitely. Baby steps. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that, is going to take, time, dedication, and passion to, put into it. And I love that you mentioned, having books available to our youth and to our kids so that they can, learn to love reading for pleasure. And that's one of the topics that I have here in my notes that I wanted to highlight today was the accessibility of these books, because we're talking so much about learning to read and the environment and stuff like that. But there's oftentimes kids, especially here in the borderlands, they don't have access to books. Like you
Mm.
said, we don't have many half price bookstores where they can go pick up a book. And yes, we have libraries, but sometimes libraries are more in metropolitan areas, and kids in our rural areas can't, either don't have transportation to get to their local library, or a local library is not existent in their area where they can have the liberty of going and checking out a book. So, and that is the, I guess you can say, the struggle that we have been trying to tackle this summer, especially with kids being at home, having to do remote learning. We are trying our best to get these resources that we have, and we have so many. We have an abundance of resources. I wish you guys could see our warehouse with all of our amazing brand new books. We're trying to get these books out there to these kids. So something that we have been doing, which is something that I want to put out there, an open invitation. I'm noticing that we have a lot of people here. We have this little project that we have that's called local book nooks. So basically, what this is, I'm actually going to pull it up on my second screen. If any of you guys have ever visited our location here at the STLC, we have, it kind of looks like a, I think Misael, you said it kind of looks um, like a birdhouse in a way, but I promise you it is not a birdhouse. But we have a book nook outside of our office. It's this right here that you can see on my screen. It's a box filled with books that we have outside our office, and this little free library, little book nook, is a little, it says in the name, it's a little free library. These books are available for anybody to just come to our office, open up the book nook. As you can see, we always have a wide variety of titles, and for different grade levels, for different kids. Sometimes we even have some adult books in there as well, and you guys can just come by, pick up a book, and just take it home. Usually the the culture of these book nooks is you take a book and you leave a book to continue that that continuous flow of books. But right now with the pandemic, we're telling you guys, don't don't leave a book. Just come and take a book. Take it home. You can keep it. Keep it for your kids, so that they can read it and read it and read it all over again. And once you're done reading it, come pick up another one. It's okay if you come. We've had people come take several trips to our book nook to come get some books. If you have several kids, have your kids pick out a book each. As you can tell, we have a little camera kind of sort of set up, not really to stalk you guys, but we find it super, super fun being able to see you guys picking out your books. So I think we have some photos here. Yeah, here you go. We have some of our people, and we now have a sign that says "Smile, you're on camera," so you can see it. So some people have been standing in front of the camera and posing so that they can show us the book that they chose, which is something super, super cool. So this book nook is outside our office in Edinburgh. And we're trying to get these book nooks to other areas in our 14, 16 counties of South Texas. So we do need sponsors for these book nooks. So that's something that me and Isaiah have been trying to do in the background so that we can get some of these book nooks ordered and built and stocked up with books and put in a centralized location that is open 24/7 so that kids can have access to these books. So if any of you guys are interested in sponsoring a book nook, or if you know an organization that is willing to sponsor a book nook to put in your city, in your neighborhood, and stuff like that, reach out to us. Let us know. We really are very, very excited about this project because it's something that we feel will help with the accessibility of these books for these kids out there in our community so that they can have access to them. So if any of you guys are interested in sponsoring a book nook, or we know somebody that might want to do it, let us know. We'll be more than happy to send you more information and talk about it to see if we can make it happen. I believe we're working on one for Craft Cultura that will be, hopefully, we will be coming back with some news pretty soon about.
We're looking for a sponsor, so anybody that's willing to sponsor one, we would love that.
Yes,
engage
and
the youth, engage the kids.
Yeah, definitely. And we have different, depending on the size of the book nook, is the price that it is to sponsor it. So like I said, if you guys want more information about that, if you guys are interested, shoot us an email or go ahead and call us or shoot us a Facebook message as well. We try our best to be very, very on timely to respond to your guys' comments and to y'all's messages on our Facebook page. But yeah, let us know. It's something that we really want to do to help tackle this problem of the accessibility of these books for those kids. But yeah, let us know who is commenting. Yes. Okay. So message us on Facebook so that I can get you more information about that. But yeah, I'm so excited. The only requirement that you need is that it has to be in a public place where somebody can have access to it 24/7, and it has in a public place where people have access to it 24/7. And I believe also it cannot be outside a for-profit entity. So it cannot be outside a for-profit business. It would have to be outside a place that is not a for-profit entity, which I said, if you're interested and you are a local business that would like to sponsor one, email us or message us. We can talk about a way that we can work around it and make it happen as well. So if you do have a local business that's interested, don't worry, we can work around it and we can still make it happen. But yeah, so let us know. And anything else that you want to add, Misael?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail. I think book nooks, those are something really cool. There's different ones across the valley with food in them, or but I think we have to just continue doing our part. I wish everybody well. It's been a rough year. Uh, this pandemic has made everybody adjust. It's made everybody, I think, reflect on what's important to us. And books have been really that one of the pillars in my life that has helped just continue to grow, continue to reflect, continue to you know heal as well in the process. So I think as 2020 began, a lot of people are looking forward to it ending, but I think we've also been doing some great work. So if you're interested in joining our organization, our book club, please feel free to message us at Craft Cultura. And just let's continue building this culture of books here on the border. And we'd love to have you, and we'd love to hear your ideas as well. So yeah, thank you for having me, Val.
You're welcome. One last announcement that I want to go ahead and let you guys know is we have a very very exciting and special event that we're having this Saturday. We're having a virtual book launch for one of our local authors. So for those of you that may not know, South Texas Literacy Coalition, we actually have a local author association where we have a group of amazing local authors from the RGV, where we're helping them, in any way possible to help promote their books, to get their books out there. And we did a book launch not too long ago with author Gigi Hesterberg with her children's book called Music, Music We Can Too. And we have a second book launch that we're doing, which is this Saturday, which is a book by author Cristina Villarreal. The book is called The Power of Words. It is a young girl's book that talks about some very, very amazing topics. I wish this book was published when I was in school, when I was younger, when I was growing up, because this book would have done me so much good and would have helped me, get out of so many struggles and situations that I was in. But basically, is a book that encourages girls to, be, better versions of themselves and to, be exactly who they want to be, to not be afraid of what other people say. And as the title says, power of words. So the book talks about the book talks about negative connotation words and then positive connotation words, and how how her experiences, the experiences that she had, helped her um, overcome certain obstacles that she went through when she was younger. So the book launch is going to be this Saturday from 1 to 4 virtually on our Facebook Live, kind of how this one is right now. But yeah, we invite you guys. We have some amazing programming. We have some amazing people that are going to be, sharing some amazing words of wisdom with y'all. And also, we're going to have raffles throughout the entire programming of the event. So you guys can win some really awesome book bundles and be one of the first to have one of the first original signed copies of her book, which is going to be worth a lot of money in the future. She's such an amazing person. She's such an amazing writer. This is actually her first book ever. So we're launching her as an author, which is something that's super, super cool. And we're so grateful that she thought of us as a platform to do this. But yeah, if you guys know any local authors that are wanting to, launch a book or need help with the writing and stuff like that, let us know. We have so many amazing authors that are so amazing that it would be more than happy to help you guys out if you guys are looking to become a published author as well. But yeah, so with that, we say goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Thank you for so many amazing questions, so many amazing comments. We hope that you guys were able to learn a little something about, books and how they build community with us here in the borderlands. So thank you so much, Misael. It's always a pleasure talking to you and getting to have a little plática with you, have a little cafecito. One of these soon,
Okay.
we will be having a cafecito at Grind. I promise you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, awesome. Bye, guys.